Hey world, coming at you live from my couch. It's LJ, executive director, or executive producer and founder at Maroon Arts and Culture. You know, executive director is a term they use in mainstream theater companies, arts organizations, but we don't do nothing on the mainstream. So we produce an art. I'm executive producer. And this, ladies, gentlemen, folks, friends, is my best friend Celia, aka Miss Carrie, aka our director of education. And we are coming at you live for our weekly educators of color happy hour, which is basically what Celia and I do anyway, but we just gonna do it on live. So we casual. I mean, I don't even have the energy to sit up and get into the camera. It's Friday afternoon. I'm back in the cushions. I got tonight. I got Douce and raspberry Slind Thrift, that low calorie sweetened water beverage. Okay, what you drinking, Phil?
Girl, just a little white wine. I'm outside on the patio enjoying this nice October weather. So, something a little light.
Something light and crispy for you. I wanted
Yes,
some wine,
indeed.
but I'm out of wine, and all I had was dark liquor. So here we are. So y'all gonna get dark liquor,
Ain't nothing
LJ.
wrong with a little, ain't nothing wrong with a little dark liquor.
You
Oh,
know how I do. So cheers to you, Sil. It's
um,
the end of the week.
cheers to you. You pushed through. You made it another week to tell your
No,
story.
no, you made it another week to teach these children. You out here empowering people. You go,
I,
girl.
I, I didn't teach this week, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Actually, should we just jump right in? Because okay, so our friend Johan is coming too. Our math teacher and friend Johan, he'll be on in a little bit. But he said he was running late. He had to go get a beer because he's been having a stressful day out here in these streets as an educator of color. Oh, let me sit up with my lips, just in case you need to do that. But yeah, apparently it's been hard out here for educator of color this week. We were just talking about some things. I'm having some issues like, why did I decide to run a nonprofit? Every time I get fed up and like just stressed out and overwhelmed, I call my mom like, I'm about to go get a job in a call center because this is not the life for me.
Oh, I did that application today, and we got Miss Bianca Kemp in the comments, who was our guest last week. I just
Hey,
see you,
Pinky,
girl.
let me turn on these comments so I can see.
Girl, turn them on. Yeah, the state of education right now is crazy, and I don't know if parents really, really, really understand what's going on, especially in the state of Texas. I cannot speak on the entire country, but I can speak on Texas. You know what I mean? And it is a very extremely stressful, crazy situation. So,
Hold on just a second. Hold on. I feel like before we get into the meat and potatoes of what you're going through today, I kind of want to let's give the people a little background. You know what I'm
okay.
saying on where we came from, because we talked about it a little bit last week. That what kind of school is it? Like, tell us, like, you teach in a public district.
Yes. So, okay. So, hey, y'all, I'm Celia Carey. Miss Carey, baby, as Weezy. Was that Weezy that said that? Because he's right there behind your head. I feel like he just
And
said
now his eyes are following me around the room like a creep ass Lisa.
that.
No
So,
cussing. People gonna yell at me for cussing.
oh, yeah, I mean, but is ass really a cuss word? Oh, anyway, so it's not. Even the kids say it nowadays. So, I am an instructional lead teacher at a public school in the Oak Cliff neighborhood of Dallas. And that neighborhood is, an impoverished area, mostly Latino and Black. My Latinx and Black, African American, Hispanic. And so, yeah, all that. So my campus in particular is 95% Mexican American. Like I don't even have to say Latinx or Hispanic. Like my students and their families are from Mexico, very proudly so, as they should be. And so we are low socioeconomic status. We have a lot of students at risk for dropout, and that's at the middle school level. So it is a high risk area, high risk neighborhood, and I'm in a pretty big urban district. So with that,
Urban.
you know what that means. Where the thugs are,
Urban.
the thugs. If you let, I mean, you know what I mean. If you let the other communities say what they want to say.
Well, real quick, can we just normalize that? Like every time you say urban in that sense, people should wink, and it's gonna make people uncomfortable, but they also gonna know exactly why you winking though. Oh yeah,
They
I
should.
went downtown. It's really urban. White people gonna be like, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable."
It's urban.
Like,
Good. Get real uncomfortable. Get real uncomfortable because I'm not shrinking anymore. So it is what it is. Yeah, that's a little bit about where I work, where I teach on a daily basis.
All right. So you woke up this morning, another day. The Lord bless you to see another day. You said, "Lord, let me get up and plan for these Black and brown children for me to go teach." And something was weird in the spirit. You said,
Well, what really had happened was that the district that I work in switched things up because I don't even know if the public knows or whatever, but we were not supposed to be back face to face with our students due to COVID-19 until October 5th. And we've been teaching virtually, right? Virtual learning is the big crave, which is for it, right? But instead, the district switched it up last minute and brought our kids back on Monday, this past Monday, September 28th. So they brought them back a week early, which threw a wrench in my game because I have a 6-year-old son. And so I really had nowhere for him to go because he is learning virtually right now and his campus won't let him come back until the next 9 weeks. Like you have to choose and you're locked to that decision. And I had to make that choice back in July for his school. So we're locked into virtual learning until mid-October, to October 15th. Anyway, long story short, because of this, I had to take a paid COVID leave this week, but it was supposed to run me through to October 15th until my son goes back to his school face to face, which I do not want to send him to. For the record, I do not want to send my child face to face, but I'm being forced to as an educator in order to teach my students face to face, right? So I'm, and they called me and emailed me this morning and said, "Oh, we had an internal audit and your paid leave ends today. And I was like, oh, they're like, yeah, you expected at work on Monday at 7:40. Where my baby gonna go? Where he gonna go? I'm gonna put him in my pocket. I can't even bring him to the school. So where's my baby gonna go? And so I called benefits, stayed on the phone for 30 minutes on hold with the benefits department because I get the feeling a lot of people got a phone call today or an email today. Get through to a person who's really nice, really, really professional benefits person. And then he did my benefits request and the computer like crashed. I'll just leave a note for my boss. I'm like, no note.
like on paper? Like what?
No, he was like, I'll type it in the notes and it'll go.
I'll just send a memo.
That's what he said, memo. He said the word memo. And I was like, sir, like they want me at work on Monday, 7:40 a.m. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know. What I do know is that I have a real live human to take care of that's in my care. So there's a lot. That's a dilemma that a lot of teachers in my age range, especially, are experiencing. Older teachers are experiencing their high risk themselves. They're high risk themselves, and they don't want to go into the classroom and risk getting that COVID, getting that Rona, right? Like somebody we know. We'll talk about him.
Ain't nobody trying to be out here looking like Crump.
Listen,
I'm just saying, ain't nobody trying to be out here looking bad like that. But I don't know, Sil. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't even imagine having to make that type of choice. I mean, you have a son, 6-year-old son, who is learning at home because you care about his health and you want him to be safe in quarantine. However, your job is insisting that you come in person. So it's like, what is a person even supposed to do in a situation like that?
I don't know. But I'm going to go through the proper channels. So I think I'm going to have to do what they told me I have to do is a hardship leave, and I have to exhaust my PTO.
Listen, how much PTO you got though? Come on.
I mean, I got a good amount. I've been teaching for 14 years, but I take my days now. I ain't never been the one to sit on them.
You are the queen of vacation. You are the queen of the vacation. Listen. Celia is like the queen of the mental health day too, actually. Like she's like, that is why you have it's all rolled up together like that. Personal time. Oh.
doing what we do, you have to take time for your mental, or you end up like ending up in the news. So I think I have to exhaust my PTO, and then after that, I don't even know what's supposed to happen, and I'm still uncomfortable with my child going back face to face. And so, what's happening is a lot of teachers are getting into other career fields at this point, taking probably not that much of a pay cut because honestly, most entry-level jobs are paying 40, 50K a year, and that's what most teachers are making, even after being in the field for a while. Now, I'm in leadership, so I make a little bit more money than that, I'm transparent. You can Google my salary. With my stipends, I make almost 70K a year. That's dope. That's good for an educator. But at the same time, I could also work from home remotely with less stress and close my laptop and make like 50K. That's a little bit of a lifestyle change. I have to like stop drinking so much wine and things, but
well, it's not like you can go on vacation right now anyway. So honestly, it's gonna break even. Now we were going on a New Year's Eve vacation this year, might not break even like that.
Listen, I'm just saying, either way, I have to do what I have to do. If that even means getting into sales, changing career, I have to do what I have to do to take care of my child and to take care of myself and my health, because I'm also afraid to work with kids in my classroom. My classroom is this big. That's my classroom, okay? And I have 30 kids on my roster. Of those 30, I think I have 16 that have opted to come in person, and they come on Monday. And I don't even know how I can fit 16 kids in my class and socially distance them. And that's on the low end. Some of the teachers that had like a lot of kids on their, some of the schools in my district had like 90% of parents want to send their kids back face to face and had to go to a hybrid model. Because
because they don't want to be at home with their kids no more, Sil.
I feel them. First things first, I didn't say I want to keep my son at home because it's an enjoyable experience. That is not anything that I've said. I'm right. Because I am concerned about his health. And as a 6-year-old, I know that keeping a mask on all day is almost impossible. I know that they still go out for recess. I know that they wipe boogers and they're snotty and they're gross and they sneezy and don't know how to do it in their elbow, correctly. And kids are gross overall, but 6-year-olds are like, you wash your hands well enough with soap.
And to be honest with you, like cognitively, it's almost too late to teach them otherwise. They've already been, because you spend so much time teaching them the way that they're doing things now, to undo that and reprogram them at an age where they can't cognitively understand why. So I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, oh, thank the Lord, I'm not a kindergarten, first grade, second grade teacher. Because when the kids are older, like middle school is my jam. I like teaching middle school kids. I had a meeting with somebody earlier today, and she was the same way. She was like, I love middle school kids. But you can explain, they can understand why they have to do the things that they have to do. Now, they still not going to do them all the time. But at least.
And in certain urban districts, there may not even be any soap in the restrooms for middle school and high school kids. So,
girl,
I can attest to that.
Girl. So that's the drama. What do we do? Like, what do you do? I'm seeing a lot of teachers that are changing professions. I know we're in some teacher groups, y'all. The teacher groups are flamed up right now. So much tea in the so much tea in the teacher Facebook groups right now. But a lot of people are trying to get out of the field, and they're also realizing that they can make more money doing something else. So where does that leave our public school education? Like our system, like where does it leave it?
It leaves it where you have veteran teachers. So the old heads that I was referring to, typically they're veteran teachers, educators, like lifelong educators who were awesome in their craft. They're retiring because they don't want to get sick and die. I know my campus lost 2 veteran teachers because they didn't want to get sick or risk that. They just went ahead and retired. You have the middle-aged educators, such as myself, who have younger children who are deciding that they can, millennials, we'll just change fields.
Still time to pivot.
And you have the young heads who are willing to kind of work it out. They're really good with the technology. I have some 24, 25-year-old teachers on my campus who are really loving the tech aspect, maybe willing to risk a little bit more because, the younger kids are a little risky. So they've kind of been out here anyway, so they don't really mind risking a little bit more. But leave education with just a bunch of young heads, which no offense to young head, but if it was all me when I was 23, teaching kids, I would feel sorry for everyone's kids. You don't want your teachers. The only reason I became a good educator is because I had a teacher who had been teaching for 40 years, take me under her wing. Shout out to Mama G.
I was just thinking about Mama G. I shout out to Mama G. Love her. And what, the reason Binks knows Mom. I think Binks knows Mama G.
Yes, she does.
Binks knows Mama G. But okay, so the reason I thought about Mama G just now is because you were talking about your PTO. Do you remember when she got so fed up? She said, "Oh, I'm fed up." She turned in a whole semester's worth of PTO.
Yep, sure did.
She was like, "I'm not coming back next semester," and she got paid for the whole semester. She had been teaching so long that she had a semester. And this is why it's a bigger issue, though, because it's not just that she had been teaching for so long. It's that she had been teaching so long without breaks. She was not taking vacation. She was not taking mental health days. She was a different generation of teacher. And so when she got fed up, because we were teaching in the hood and it was very urban, you know what I'm saying? And she got fed up. So she turned in a semester's worth of PTO and did not come back.
She left in December and Mama G retired and did not return. And big ups to Mama G. Mama G taught me a lot of what I know, and I cannot thank her enough. I want to give her flowers while she's still here. I cannot thank Mama G enough.
You know what? She is on Facebook, I think. We need to send her this so that she knows that we still think about her and appreciate her, because she was like an anchor, and when she left, it was sad. She had been in education longer than the principals.
Yep.
But she was still willing to, shout out to Mama G. She was still willing to, help and be supportive. Did she teach you about the book? Did you get that from Mama G?
I learned the book, which is a discipline policy that really works. And it's not like discipline, but it works for kids. It's a documentation method. I learned that from a group of really good teachers in Frisco, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Cause that was one of my favorites.
So you're frozen, or am I frozen? I think you're frozen. Shout out to Mama G. I hope LJ comes back, or if I'm frozen, I don't know. But I cannot hear her or see her right at this time. Technical difficulties? Okay. Well, anyway.
Oh,
she's back.
Oh, was it just me that went away?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's because I got raggedy Wi-Fi. Hold on, let me plug in.
Okay. In the age of Zoom, baby, I was just gonna keep it moving so anyway until she gets her Wi-Fi back.
You know how it is. We all used to it at this point.
We are used to it at this point, but I'm just really nervous about education. I had already said that education before COVID hit, I was like, education's not gonna, teachers won't really exist like that anymore. Not like what we know in the traditional sense. And unfortunately, especially with some of the catapults from this current administration, I can see public education failing to really exist like what we know it anymore.
I am so into this question of school choice right now, because I really do feel like the reason Republicans are pushing schools to open is because they want to push school choice, and they want to force everybody to have to be in a position to say, I want to pull my kids out of school and I don't want to have to pay my taxes to this public school. I'm not going to. And I feel like the best way for them to do that is to make the public schools uninhabitable.
But it's the same as every other thing that wealthy people tend to. I don't even know. I don't want to say wealthy people. I don't know what I want to say here, because I'm being transparent. But it almost seems like it's going to backfire, because school choice, in my opinion, if it was truly fully like everybody has school choice, would end up benefiting a lot of marginalized communities. They could send their kids to schools like Freedom School with Maroon and have their kid control over the curriculum that they want their kids to learn, rather than the Common Core or whatever it is that your state is pushing that is seeped in white supremacy. So I don't know. Freedom School right now, it's an idea. It's like what we're trying to do is like enrichment courses, but the future of Freedom School, in my opinion, is I'm trying to get that charter. I'm trying to get that homeschool curriculum certified. Trying to get that accreditation, because that's when we can really talk about revolution, right? Is, when we can take control of our education. That's what I feel. In a couple of weeks, maybe next week, maybe in a couple of weeks, we're gonna have on my friend Anthony Gordon.
He started a charter school out of San Antonio. He's a brother. He's smart, educated, like all the educators of color that I know, experienced, certified, degreed up, and
All
fed
that.
up.
and fed up. You're right.
You know, so we're gonna have
Yeah.
him on. He's actually in the application process of starting a charter right now. So that sounds very intimidating. So we'll have to see what that's like. But I definitely foresee getting it charter, getting it accredited, because there's not a school in this country I would be comfortable sending my own child to. I don't have any kids, but if I did, I would have to homeschool them because this.
And then you homeschool them, and you're luckily you're an educator, but there are Black folks who are in other fields who want to educate their kids homeschool, but they don't have the curriculum, they don't have the means. This is not their field of study. Like even for me with a 6-year-old, I teach middle and high school. I feel lost trying to teach elementary things to my son. I mean, it sounds backwards, but I don't know what he's supposed to be getting as far as, for the foundation like that. So there's a lot of parents out there that are looking for educators who went to college or went to school to do this, but teaching a curriculum that is more aligned with the truth.
How about it though? And it's happening. I tend to take the maroon path because I'm a person that just has no patience or tolerance for systems and institutions.
LJ, you have to describe what a maroon is, and we actually need to describe what Freedom School is, to be honest. For those
you know what?
For the first time.
We're being casual, but like, yeah, we out here. This is the purpose. We out here working for a purpose. But basically, how about I talk about Maroon, and then you talk about Freedom School, because I left my cocktail on the table when I ran over here to plug in, and I need to run and go get it.
Okay, good, because I need to turn on a light out here too. So whatever.
All right, so I'm gonna. So basically, real quick. So Freedom School is, Maroon Arts and Culture. The organization is Maroon Arts and Culture. We're an arts organization. Our mission is empowerment through arts education and cultural programming. It's my passion project, and I was lucky enough to bring my friends in. So, I got my best friend Celia. She's the director of education. My homegirl Brooke, she's on the production side. She's in the comments right now. And basically, we've got a collective. We're a collective of passionate, educated Black folks that really want to make a difference in terms of not only the arts and performance, but also education as well, and using the arts and performance as a way of educating, because that's what you need to do in order to reach multicultural students, right? You have to open up your frameworks to be outside of text, to be outside of, the usual. So yeah, that's what we do. And we are named after maroons. A maroon is a person who escaped bondage, ran away from their enslaved status, and made their own way in the woods, in the swamps, in the forests, in the middle of nowhere. And my favorite thing about maroons is that wherever there is bondage in the world, wherever there was bondage in the world, there were maroons. There were maroons in Jamaica. There are maroons in South America that are still there. They've literally grown into a whole civilization, a town, a city. There were maroons in New Orleans. There's maroons on the East Coast and here in the States. So to me, it's a beacon. It's a symbol that freedom is an inherent right. To the point that even without organizing, people know that if they run, they will find somebody that shares their need and desire for freedom. They will find that person in the wilderness. So we are Maroons. We've created that for ourselves. And we hope that you will join us in the clearing. I was literally about to bring out Celia, but she disappeared too. So I don't know where she went. But when you get a chance, check out the website. We have a couple programs going on right now. We've partnered with Center Theater Group. They're a pretty large presenting organization out here in Los Angeles. We're offering a free 10-week program for people who are interested in creating creative careers for themselves. So that could be, it's designed for theater, it's a theater company, but, people they do multiple things. So it's totally free. All you have to do is register, and that starts on Friday, so you still have time. We're going to have panelists on every week. It'll be really good. The other thing is Freedom School, as Celia mentioned. Freedom School starts very soon. We're going to start on October 24th. And so you still have time to register for that. She's back. You want to tell them a little bit? No, it's okay. Tell them about it.
What am I telling them about? I missed it because my Wi-Fi dropped. So I'm out in the country. Sorry, guys. So, um,
Freedom School.
Freedom School and my book study. All right. So, I will be teaching a book club for grades 6 through 12, and we're going through a book called "This Is My America" by Kim Johnson. It is a super dope book with most of the characters in the book are of color. It deals with a lot of the fresh issues that's going on in our country right now with, social justice and activism and all those kind of things. And so if you've got a student who is, of or above level and they're looking for, something interesting to get into virtually, they're having, even if they're having problems with like connecting to the text or reading has been an issue for them, if they're trying to prepare for SAT or ACT, getting into a text that is relevant to them may be what they need, and to work with someone like me who can bring it to life. So I hope you sign your kids up for Freedom School. Go to maroonarts.com. I'm not sure if she said that because my Wi-Fi dropped, but go to maroonarts.com. Check us out. Enroll your babies in our classes. They start October 24th. LJ's got some other things going on that are free of charge. We're offering a special right now, $20 off.
Oh, I forgot about that.
$20 off your kids' enrollment. And so please go ahead and go there and sign up. And I would love to get in touch with your children and work with them and teach some of this good reading comprehension.
You know what? Somebody blew my mind today. I had a meeting with this woman earlier, and it was such a good meeting. We were just kikiing it up about like arts and arts education. It was so good. But she was like, she's a musician. And we were talking about how all the stuff we learned is just like so Eurocentric. And she put hot cross buns on the stand. And I'm like, right, like, why do we force kids to learn hot cross buns when we could also just be like, here are 3 notes, make a song? Like, doesn't that teach the same thing in a way that's more culturally relevant? So that's where we coming from for
Absolutely.
And that's where we're coming from on Freedom School. We just want to rethink the way that we teach so that we're reaching more students. I was also going off on how we teach theater. I'm a theater person. I'm teaching playwriting for teens, and I'm teaching drama critics because I do theater research. That's my bag. So I'm going to teach the kids to do it too, so that I can bring an army of young dramaturgs up. But basically, it's like a book club, but we read plays. And we're reading plays from the Ferguson Theater syllabus. It's a social justice curriculum. And we're going to use some audio elements. Like, I want to record plays. I want people to act things out. Because if you've ever seen a play on a piece of paper, it's the most intimidating thing you've ever seen in your life. It's like super dense text, real small, real hard to read. And again, if we're talking about reaching different types of students, like, we really have to expand our approaches in the way that we do things. We have to, especially in this new world with virtual stuff. Like, I am so sick of people just trying to take the old method and shove it into this new stuff. Sick of it.
Listen, Brooke just said F sharp, E, and D. She remembers the notes of hot cross buns. I'm a band geek myself.
You know what that spell? That spell the Fed.
It does. It does.
Because you got to see, you got to read music through the lines. You got to see
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I don't know. I mean, that was the only tea I had today. It's just really super frustrating for educators right now with the way things are. So I hope people are keeping their kids, teachers in prayer. Like, all the jokes about parents working from home, working with their kids at home. I get it, because I'm a parent teacher, right? I'm teacher parent. I'm both of those things. But at the same time, the truth of the matter is the main thing that most educators loved about education is gone. The connection to our kids, our classroom environment, being able to hug a kid when they're down, high-fiving kids, the connection. That's what people send their kids to school for, believe it or not. We're counselors, we're all these things to kids, coaches, all this kind of stuff. And now everyone has to be 6 feet apart. Like, education was moving towards like flexible seating and like, coming together and group work and all that kind of stuff, that was considered a best practice. And now kids have to sit in rows like it's 1900 in the red schoolhouse and be super far apart with plexiglass and masks and shields on too. You know what I mean? So it's sad. It almost feels like a death. I feel like I'm mourning what teaching used to be, because now it's getting on Google Classroom and making sure they've done their assignments, but it's taking out all of the human parts of education, where I can't read or feel a kid through Google Classroom like I could read and feel a kid in person, and they're having a bad day or this, that, and the other, and some of our kids are in abusive households. Let's not even go. They can't even concentrate and get their work done because it's a really tough home environment. And for a lot of kids, school is a safe haven.
Yeah.
School is a place for them to go to get breakfast and lunch and
dinner. Honestly, with that after school snack.
Mm-hmm. And people who care for them, because we do care for our kids. So it's like, now they may not have had any of that at home, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a person who cares for them at home. And now that's gone. And that was the main part that most educators, because it's a work of heart, that we are not able to do like that anymore. Not for a while anyway.
Yeah, it's sad. It is a mourning. And I know it's got to be difficult for somebody like you who's like always been an educator, like knew that that's what you wanted to do. Like it's been running through your veins your whole life kind of thing. Like I just can't even imagine. And it really makes me mad when I see people like teachers just don't want to go to work. They just let it suck. I saw somebody that was like, teachers need to go to work like how the grocery store people go to work. And I'm like, you cannot get groceries, have virtual grocery store. Like somebody literally has to be at the grocery store in order for you to get groceries. You do not have to be in person to do school. I mean, it's not ideal. It's not as effective, but this is a global pandemic. So nothing is ideal. Nothing is effective.
But it's also not apples to apples, because in education, we're in old, antiquated buildings that do not have proper ventilation with children. Any adult. There's no one at the door. I mean, we are enforcing masks, but it's not like Costco where you get kicked out, right? If someone walks in without a mask on, they can be like, well, you're not allowed to come in here, sir. If a kid comes in without a mask, we'll give them a mask. They'll take it off. They'll probably share a mask. They're probably kids. They're probably getting a fight. Like, who knows what kids do with these masks? Like, these are children. You know what I mean? And it's like, we're in a building and we're in a classroom in a tightly closed space, children for extended amount of times. If all of my kids were back, I would see over 120 kids a day in my classroom. I know the grocery store, I see a lot of people, but it's all in passing. It's a huge area full of ventilation, up to code, with people enforcing masks. That's not the case in education. And really, honestly, COVID is showing the disparities in our schools. It's showing the problems that schools have when they're just not up to code. We have schools that are not up to code, that don't have ventilators. We have classrooms that don't have windows. I taught in a class with no windows. I'm supposed to teach in a class with no windows with 30 kids during COVID. Come on, man. Like, it's just not the same. And it's just like any other job. You just don't know it until you're in it. I would implore anyone to go sub in a classroom. Just
because you can. If you have a degree in anything, you can sign up to go sub. If you're passionate about getting teachers in the classroom, go on with your bad self.
My mom subbed one day. This was years ago when I first moved to Texas. My mom went and substituted at a high school one day, and she never went back again. She was like, this one boy asked to go to the restroom. He never came back. I ain't know what to do. I'm like, and I ain't gonna start nothing, because kids nowadays over their cell phone. It's a mess. I wish y'all would go do it.
They're not gonna do it. We sound like them Back the Blue people when they be like, if you don't like it, go on a ride along. Go on a ride along. Bet you won't go on a ride along. Go on a teacher ride along. How about you do that? Go on a teacher ride along and see how that goes.
It's not my intention, because with Back the Blue, I think everyone understands that being a cop is like not an easy. I don't feel like being a cop is an easy job. I don't. I don't think it's easy. Like, I've never said that that's easy, but so you chose that field, just like how I chose education, right? But at the same time, you can't be like, teachers just don't want to work and have all this strong opinion about teachers and what we want to do, what we're not doing. I mean, you have never, ever You don't want to keep your own 2 kids at the house and teach them on the computer. And then
Can't even get the parents to come to parent-teacher night.
then the parents talking about they should get paid to stay at home teaching their kids. Y'all not grading no work. You ain't creating no lesson plans. You're doing nothing but being a parent, helping your kid with their work, which is what you're supposed to be doing from the beginning. You're supposed to be helping your child with homework. Y'all ain't grading no tests. You ain't grading no tests. You're not putting in grades. You're not attending meetings. You're not doing best practices. Y'all not running Zooms. Y'all just helping your kid with work at home. That's called being a good parent.
It's called supervising.
And these folks, all I can remember is Bianca talking about one parent asked her, so I'm gonna be going to work. So the teacher's gonna be like on Zoom, like they're gonna be keeping my child. Like they really think that we can keep their child through Zoom while they go to work.
Oh, so she was going to in-person work, and then she was like, but I can leave my kid at home, right?
And the teachers will keep them through Zoom. Ma'am, I have no power
Ma'am,
on Zoom if you're not there.
CPS called. Please don't get CPS called on you, because if you a parent of color, you already subject more than anybody else. So please don't think that the teacher can watch your kid through Zoom and then somebody gonna call CPS and that's gonna be trouble.
She was dead serious too. But I do know that are just that are back in person. There's kids coming every day with the temperature. It's a mess. It's a mess, and I ain't gonna lie about it. That's why I'm here on this happy hour.
Yeah, that's why we're here on happy hour, but also that's why you're looking for a new job, because they are, but that's also why I don't work in public education anymore. I can't do it. I'm too much of a shit. I'm me.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
You're maroon, and
I really am. And because anytime something feels unfair or unbalanced or wrong in my spirit, I feel the need to speak on it. I really, really do. And that has gotten me into trouble so many times, especially working as a public school teacher. It's always got me into hot water, but I just can't not do it. And so that's why I don't work in that field anymore. I was working at a charter school, and they were going over standardized test results. A lot of people don't realize that they aggregate data from these standardized test results and put it into race categories. So when you look at data from standardized tests, they categorize people by race, which to me doesn't make any sense. It would make so much more sense to me to categorize it by economic status, because like what do people have access to? You could be Black, but maybe you a Black person with a tutor. Maybe you a Black person with no parents. There is a spectrum of experiences within the Black community. So I don't get it. I don't understand why they classify that information by race. Like, what difference does it make how all the Black kids do? All the Black kids are not the same.
I have a lot to say on that. Okay, first things first, a lot of parents don't even realize that if you have your kids, and let's say you're at a predominantly white campus and there's only a handful of Black kids there, your kids don't even count towards their data. What does that mean? That means that the teachers are not going to spend a lot of time with your kids. They're not going, if your kids are struggling, they're not going to pull them for tutoring. They're not going to get interventions. They may get some help, but they're not going to be on the top priority list as the kids who are affecting the data the most. And so with the way that they have data set up, if you're less than 1% of the population of that campus, they don't count towards your data. So that urban school we worked at had maybe 1 or 2 white students, like 1 or 2, maybe. They didn't count towards our data. And so that's sad to say that when we're pulling small groups and we're doing tutoring and this and the other, they're not really considered. You look at the data and you go, okay, these are the kids that really affect our data the most. So we need to work with them the most so that they can show growth. And that's the reality of it. So you're saying you don't know why it's categorized by race. I mean, because of white supremacy.
And you know what? That's the truth. And that's the truth of the matter. and that's one of those things that I just have such a big issue with. And it always has rubbed me the wrong way. And whenever I would say anything about it, I would get in trouble. When I was at this charter school, should I say which one? Should I say
not. But it was not an urban, right? It was urban.
Oh, actually, it was considered, if you a sleuth, it was considered one of the most diverse schools in North Texas. So if you were to find one of the most diverse schools in North Texas, it might be the school. But the only reason it was considered that is because they had a large Middle Eastern population, and each one of these areas counted as a different area, right? So it was a lot of Indian students, a lot of Pakistani students, a lot of Israeli students. So they counted that as regional diversity, but it was not really that culturally diverse, you know. But this fool, Mr. He was like, we were in a meeting one time and he was like, as you can see, this is our data from the last standardized test. Some of you may be surprised to note that our white students were our lowest performing group. Here I go.
Not surprised, sir.
Why are you surprised by that? What's surprising? Who did you expect to be in the bottom? Right? Because if you're saying that you're surprised that the white students are the lowest performing group, that means you expected another group to be the lowest performing group. I want to know which one.
Well, you know which one, because it's a hot topic in education, the achievement gap between African American boys and others. And there's initiatives. There are full-blown initiatives focused on African American male students because of the achievement gap. They love to talk about the achievement gap. They don't want to talk about where the gap came from. They don't want to talk about what caused the gap. They don't want to talk about none of that. They don't want to talk about the institutions that caused these gaps. They just want to talk about them and say things like, it's surprising that the white kids were the lowest achieving, when it's like, just because they white don't mean they had a good education and they can read and write.
Ever since I said something in that meeting, from that day forward, I had a target on my back. I really did. People don't like that, and that's why I can't do it. But if you don't classify students by race, right? Because again, that's the whole problem, is that white supremacy asks us to classify student data by race. If you classified it instead by, income level or, poverty level, that kind of thing, then you may get better answers. You may see that, yes, there are a lot of Black students that aren't performing up to the same level as everyone else. But you might also then see, damn, our poor white students aren't performing either. Maybe it's not actually about race. Maybe it's more about like economics. Wow. Because when you have segregated schools, which last week, if you didn't catch us last week, we was on too long last week. You don't have to really rifle through that one, but we did talk about.
We're about to cut this one short tonight. We're not gonna do over an hour.
We're almost done. We're not gonna stay on too long. But yeah, like I lost my train of thought because it's the happy hour.
Oh, you were saying that.
Oh shoot!
What were you saying? You were talking about segregated schools.
So last week we did talk about the fact that our schools are segregated. If you really look at the numbers, most schools only have one racial category represented in them. And so, if you consider all the data by race, then it's like, oh, our white students are performing at this level, but we do have a few that aren't performing. The real question is maybe, what do our students who are not performing well, what do they have in common? Like, maybe that's the approach that we should take. Like,
maybe the approach should be looking at the tests and seeing if they're culturally relevant.
Ooh. Damn, why'd all the Black kids miss question number 10?
Because question number 10 is in the state of Texas, talking about skiing on a mountain in Colorado, and they've never seen a mountain or never skied, don't know those terms.
Snow, girl.
Never seen snow before in their life, and you put this on the state achievement test, an article about skiing down a mountain in Colorado, or you put an article about things that are so disconnected, the things that our kids are seeing in. It's hard for me I love to read, and it's hard for me to read on something that I have no connection to. Like, I read a story the other day about like sailboating, and I couldn't connect. And I love the water and I love the beach, but I've never sailboated before. And I kept trying to like catch the terms, and they were talking about this wave and the crest and this stuff that was happening on the sailboat, and I kept zoning. And I was like, I can only imagine students who may not have had so much of a life experience trying to read an article so disconnected, and knowing that they're moving on to the next grade depends on their performance on that.
like if it had been an article on party voting, for example, you maybe would have been you maybe would have been able to connect to that a little bit.
Like it's a DJ on the boat and they have cigars for sale and hors d'oeuvres. What would be the inference about how many hors d'oeuvres a girl like Celia would have? Like, I don't know. Like, it just needs to be more relevant. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Be more relevant, but that's okay because we got you at Freedom School. We writing curriculum. I'm dead serious, y'all. Like, I had a meeting today with somebody, and I'm just like, I'm trying to get at that curriculum. I'm trying to make sure it's culturally relevant, that it's accepting of everyone. Oh, so before we close it out today, we got special guests today. We got my boy Johan in the building, our math teacher. He'll be teaching math empowerment. Hold on, these comments late. Brooke says she's shaking her head. I don't even know what. Probably the party boat comment. Even though there's literally an iconic picture of the three of us on a party boat for her birthday, actually.
Her birthday, which is this month.
Hello. So this is my friend Johan, and I'm excited that he's coming in. He was in and out, so he's heard a little bit of the conversation. But when he dropped out, we were talking about the data and how if you are in the minority in your school, meaning there's only a few of you, then you don't count towards your school's data. If you're at an all-white school and there's only 5 Black students, then 5 Black students don't make a blip on the data. And so because of that, those students are not served. They're not supported. They're not recommended for interventions. They're not recommended for tutoring. So I'm going to bring Johan in because I know he got a lot of opinions on that. Johan.
Yo.
What's up?
What's going on?
First of all, please send me that data because I need more people to hear that and see that. That's what I've mainly been dealing with for a really long time is people who see, I don't know. I feel like there's something else to it because I'm wondering if there isn't also a number of kids of color that are somehow, if they're not bringing up the academic score, they're bringing up something, whether it's their diversity numbers, financial aid number, something, but there's definitely something to that. That sounds really interesting.
So basically what we were saying and what Celia was saying is, well, it started off because I was telling my classic stories about how I got in trouble trying to be a teacher. It's a lot of them, but But Johan said he say it like that because he know me. But basically I had called out one of the principals because we were talking about how all of our data, our standardized testing data, is aggregated by race. So when they return the results of a test, it's like, this is how your Black kids did. This is how your white kids did. This is how your, what they call it? They don't even say Latinx. They be like, this is how your Hispanic,
Hispanic,
non-Black
right.
students did.
Yeah.
And so what that does is if you're at a school that's not truly diverse, if you're at a school that's mostly white people, you don't even count as a blip in the data. And so why would anybody want to address your needs if you're not going to affect their results?
See, here's the thing. Affecting the results I think has kind of 2 different interpretations, right? It depends on what we, I think, kind of get used to, right? Like I had very recently, let's say very recently a family I was working with where their kid was in an accelerated class and the counselor was like, you know what, we may need to get them down into the regular class. Now, what I said to the parents is, well, no, the kid is capable of doing it, but the part of the problem is they don't really know how many people are going through the same thing, and the expectation level is kind of the same. There's an expectation that Black kids are going to fail. Mm-hmm. There's an expectation that, I'm just not good at math, and so if 60% of the class is not just not good at math in the accelerated class, then that's normal to them. Mm-hmm. If you're not that good at reading, maybe there might be an alarm because everybody should be able to read. But yeah, usually a lot of what you're talking about, like there's an expected kind of deterioration that's going to happen. And yeah, a lot of standardized tests boil down to who can pay for the help to do well on it. If Black people know that they can pay to get access to it, everybody would pay. They'll pay out of whatever they have to invest in their kid. But if you ain't got the money also, then people just kind of expect, oh, well, yeah, my kid's doing bad because I can't pay for it. But is the education system subsidizing it? Well, sure, but not really. But yeah, if you're in a PWI and they're like, well, there's only 10 of y'all to begin with, and if 2 of you are failing, and if the rest of you are at least getting C's and passing, you're fine.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of it is our expectation level, and we don't say to ourselves, there's a problem that people are continually not doing well in an area. And that's also why I kind of go so hard on math, is because we let math is usually the biggest qualifier for how smart people are. And then we usually say, oh, this many people are failing. No wonder.
It's math. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. Yeah,
but
I'm
see,
guilty.
here's the thing. The family I was dealing with, their teacher, the math teacher, was unnecessarily rigid. They were unnecessarily making it difficult and making it harder for everybody to learn it, to the point where it's like some of the problems they were getting. I said, I know this is an accelerated class, but this is accelerated even for an honors class. So what exactly are you expecting out of people?
Well, Johan, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was my main experience with math teachers. They were either too rigid and like everything had to be exactly the way they said. And you were the main one who told me that there's lots of ways to do a math problem, right?
Right.
So I was never taught that at all. Or I had the math teachers who were legitimately good at math, but couldn't teach it. And so they would just write all their stuff on the board with their back to us. And I'm lost because I have no idea what's going on, and they don't know how to break it down for people to understand. So that was my experience with math. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you brought that up. That too rigid. I don't know why, like, some math teachers get off on being too rigid. Like, relax a little bit.
Right. It's a difficult balance also between what guys were saying earlier that I heard, where teachers have a hard job. And so when you do come at a teacher with what they're doing, then of course you also have a bureaucratic system, in a sense, that's going to get behind the teacher and just say, no, this is what's normal. Your kid got an issue. And it's very easy to do that with math, because everybody in the societal expectation is, nope, math is about accuracy. And if you wasn't accurate and it's wrong, it's wrong. But no, you don't have to look at it that way. Now, English is much more flexible. I can have it open to interpretation. I can be as creative as I want with certain things, especially my wording and how somebody words something. And as long as I understand it, all right, fine. But math, we also have
to a certain extent.
We excuse that rigidity, and we excuse this, nope, you can't pass here unless I do this, and then because I said so. And if you can't do it, then that's on you. But really, we're setting people up for failure that way. When you become a gatekeeper of information like that and don't allow a person to get better, and then you just determine, well, because you couldn't do it the way I say, then therefore you're not ready. No, that's ridiculous.
Listen, let me just say that Math Empowerment starts on October 24th. Okay, visit maroonarts.com/freedom school for more information. And the reason I want to say this right now is because what Johan just said was imperative. It's so important to understand that it's not the material. It's not that the material is too difficult. It's just that it's not being taught in ways that are allowed for open frameworks. The idea that you don't necessarily have to be accurate all the time in math. Come on. That's a European standard. The idea that math requires complete and utter accuracy every single time.
Right.
To teach something from a culturally open lens, right? To be willing to reframe some of these subjects and put them into different aesthetics, different frameworks, like that is how you empower students. You let them know, like, hey, this is one way to do it, but it ain't the only way to do it.
It's
and
not,
the way we
right.
teach you how to do it is probably gonna vibe with you more. So I just had to throw that out there.
I totally look at it. Not only is there not one way to do it, but then also for the teachers, they should know better. There's not just one way of valuing an answer or the process. We tell people all the time, as long as you show your work. But I see a lot of teachers talking about showing their work, but then not actually giving value to showing the work if the answer is wrong. You know what I'm saying? So there's there's all these little games and psychological things that keep happening to where it's like, okay, you asked me to do this, but I show that I do understand it, but I don't understand this part. So the amount of compassion that can be shown to show, no, you are good at math. If you're at 75% accuracy, that doesn't make you bad at it. But there's this idea that you have to be on point every single time, and that nobody can live under that kind of pressure. That's not real. So this is what causes,
at the same time,
just in education, period. That's the kind of things that makes people say, you know what, I don't even want to deal with this. You know, people don't.
When Johan was talking about it,
and the thing is that most kids know that it's not actually coming from the page; it's coming from the teacher.
Yeah.
They know that. You can't hide that from them. So really, when they're bucking education or failing, and sometimes not doing it, it's because they're like, I don't even want to I don't want anything to do with it, and they don't even necessarily. They may not be able to articulate it, but they know something is wrong. You know.
What was you got to say, Sue?
I was saying, connecting to that, like when he was saying that with English or reading, we have more flexibility in that is subjective, because it is, as long as a kid can show any type of evidence, we say they're right? Like if you have any type of text evidence, your answer is correct. Any type, even if it's a stretch, your answer is correct. At the same time, it goes back to testing, where you get on STAR and every answer is not correct. You have to pick what the test makers want you to think from this text. And it's almost impossible with everyone having different life experiences. You know what I mean? And so,
right.
I remember it was one lady who wrote a poem. Like she wrote a poem, put it on the state assessment here, and she said she looked at it and she saw the questions. She was like, I have no idea what the answers are to these questions about the poem that I wrote. Like I don't know, because she wrote the poem from a genuine place of where poetry comes from as an artist. And then they asked all these questions and inferences and this, and she's like, I don't even know what any of that is about. But we still make kids have to pick A, B, C, or D. You know what I mean? Like I still have a problem with I know multiple choice is easy to grade. I get it. I'm here for that. But at the same time, it's like, it shouldn't be so high stakes. Like it should be other ways for kids to be able to show that they know things.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what? This is another really good plug for Freedom School, because like students, you have to teach them how to read stuff like poems, and like you have to teach them how to understand things. And, if they have better understanding of the, I just feel like you really have to give them as many experiences and opportunities as possible so that they have any chance to get anything right. I remember I was teaching, I think it may have been at that school we taught at, but there was a play or something on the STAR test, on the standardized test that year. And I remember they were like the administration was verklempt, like they were like upset that there was a play on there because not all the students knew how to read it.
Yeah.
And so no, go ahead.
It was a big deal, especially because play. I know you're a play, you're into theater, but most plays from a kid perspective is meant to be read by multiple people. Yourself in your head doing each part, like, you know what I mean? Like, and so it makes you feel crazy. Kids can't quite get into it, and they don't know which character is talking, and they're getting confused. It's confusing to kids at the middle school level to read a text that has different characters speaking throughout. I don't know. So we were definitely. It was like they threw a wrench in the game. We hadn't seen a drama on the state assessment in like 10 years or something like that. So
I think that was my first year at that school too. So they were like, thank God we got the theater teacher up in here right in time.
At the urban school?
At the urban school we were at the urban school.
Yeah.
That's our thing, Johan say, since urban is such a loaded word and we already know what people mean when they say it, we're gonna start winking whenever anyone says it. Even yourself. I feel like even if somebody were to be like, "Oh yes, I'm at the urban district," I'm be like, "Oh really? You was at
I'm gonna have such a problem if anybody ever says that to me.
It's like, I hear that shit all the time.
Yeah, but they say it. The district I work in is considered my district is considered a large urban district. You can Google it. It might be on the website.
Look, let me interject something else real quick. Is what you guys are also talking about, because let's not forget, I was an English major, and seeing different styles of reading, how a play is written, how a script is written, and how poetry is written, how a novel is written, so that we can convey these ideas and this imagination and the humanities, the way that these books that we're reading that are hundreds of years old, thousands of years old, you know what I mean? There's a reason for that. The things that we're communicating, you know, that's existed for thousands of years. We have to know these things. Shakespeare, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? Every on a just a basic level, I've seen kids from the hood understand it. They get it when you break it down in layman's terms. There's nothing about it that is necessarily supposed to be that difficult, especially if you can teach it well. But that's what English gets. English can get the passion, right? You get so much passion, much more with the English. But when you can match that with understanding just what it's saying, it means a lot. But no, the arts are suffering because of it. You know, the arts are suffering because of it.
I always do this, but like, this is just a reminder. This is what a play looks like.
Yeah.
Like, this is what a play looks like.
Right.
The text it's not double spaced. It's very small. There's big ass chunks throughout the whole thing. And if you were to give this to a student, especially on a standardized test, they would look at it, not read it, just look at it. And it would already feel like it was too much and overwhelming.
They shut down.
Just because of
they shut down immediately.
Right. Now, let me ask y'all a question. How long has, let's say, playwriting or plays as a thing, how long has that kind of been around? Is that relevant to Black culture? How much do we know about plays? I feel like we always acting in one way or another. I feel like there's some kind of other Black tradition of play, right? Of theater. So,
well, first of all, Brooke,
Johan, I think you just asked.
Why is it that we're disconnected from it?
I think you're asking a loaded question that may need to be our next live, because we are at an hour right now. But
okay,
go
but I'm
ahead
gonna answer it
if you
right
want to
quick,
get on.
I came in too
First
late.
of all, I'm gonna answer real quick. Second of all, Brooke said I keep cursing. I don't know what the hell she talking about. The second of all,
I didn't even notice. See, I didn't even notice this now. It's okay.
I did.
No more happy hour for you. We should do. But basically, okay. After we talk.
We wanted to be genuine, to be honest.
Is there an after party after this, for real?
The after party's on House Party.
All right, hit me up.
Catch us on House Party afterward. Yeah. Y'all come through. But basically what Johan is talking about is a European framework of understanding. You know, they do teach. Before I started teaching theater, and I feel lucky because before I left my charter district, I was able to write some curriculum. So I was able to change things up. But they typically start theater history with Greek history, Greek theater. But Greek theater is not the beginning of theater. You want to go to the beginning of theater, you have to go to oral tradition. You feel me? And when you start theater at oral tradition, now you're including so many more cultures with so many artistic heritages, performance heritages. And just by doing that one thing, you are able to reach so many more students. So I implore you, theater teachers of the world, do not start your theater history units at Greek. Start at oral tradition. Give your students something that they can say, this looks like what I know. This looks like what my parents do at church. This looks like what we do when we play in spades. When we sitting around at the family reunion telling stories about our grandparents and that kind of thing.
When it gets time for people to dance, when you see them things, people dancing, somebody MCing, all of it.
That is all theater. That is all theater. We all know the roles. We know the parts. We know the drunk uncle. We know the sage granny. We know the sassy auntie. Okay. We know our single cousins. We all know the roles. We know the dialogue. We know the props. We know the set.
Hey, I'm going to throw this out there. Is that basically the first TikTok? When
I don't know how to do
TikTok. On TikTok, is that kind of the first?
I wish I knew how to TikTok. Celia's sister gonna teach me how to do the TikTok. She signed Maroon up for a Snapchat. Maroon got a Snapchat now, y'all. Cindy signed us up, so y'all gonna see me on there.
Oh Lord!
But
shout out to Cindy. Shout out to Brooke.
Yes. Shout out to the community, honestly, because honestly, it's like an idea is just an idea. But when passionate, enthusiastic, smart, capable people come together in order to make an idea a reality, now you cook it with hot grease. You feel me? And so Maroon Arts and Culture would not be cooking with hot grease if it wasn't for Celia, Johan, Brooke, Cindy, everybody that has pitched in to help us. We've been getting donations from people. So thank y'all, man. This is a community effort.
Shout out.
We don't do hierarchies. This is the Black aesthetic. We do not do hierarchies. We are a community. This is a circle. There is no leader in a circle. There is no person that is more important than anybody else when you talk about a circle. So that's what we talk about.
Word.
So we gonna wrap this whole thing up, you know what I'm saying? Before we go, I gotta do it like how I always do it and go for the offering. Lord, we wouldn't be able to be here without the kind donations of the people watching. So please throw some money on the Cash App, put 5 on the cause. We just out here trying to be passionate and trying to, spread the word, teach the children, and honestly help liberate the adults a little bit too. When we really come together on this community effort, things are going to change, and it's in the air right now. I don't know if y'all follow Girl Trek. Girl Trek is like my favorite nonprofit, girl. I be walking every day, 30 minutes with Girl Trek, and they do a Black History Month boot camp, and they started a new one yesterday, and it was the power of prayer. And so you got thousands of Black women praying all at the same time.
Wow.
And then somebody got coronavirus. I don't know if it's a coincidence.
You know what?
But
that was the elephant in the room.
The thing is, he ain't really got it.
Oh gosh, it's a lot. It's a lot of theories. We're not gonna get into that. That's for the after party.
That's for the after party. But that's for the after party.
Hey,
that's for the after party. No, honey, it's for the after party. Okay.
All right.
We gonna
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.